Session 7. So here's the same sheet you have here. So completing the worksheets before the class, which we're going to go through now. Read the chapters from the Ruth Whole book, chapter 3 on hand reflexology, because that's the whole theme for this week, and also the pages on nerves. There's just 10 pages there. The boxes, complete the boxes on nerves, and so it says bring into case studies, but they would be in Dropbox for us to look at and for your tutor to look at. So be led by your tutor, but these are just a reminder of what she's told you. She said, oh yes, we need to, maybe it was bring in the handwritten notes that go along with the typed up work, but your tutor will explain that to you. So just make sure that you're practicing using the forms provided, and you have got the master copies in your Dropbox and on Facebook. So we're going to go over the history of reflexology, and these are the famous names here. Doreen Bailey, she was taught by Eunice, and she brought reflexology back to England in the 1960s. Henry Head, Sir Henry Head, he discovered dermatones, and dermatones, have you seen, I'm going to put a picture up on this on here, because it's an important thing that each area of our skin, for instance, is divided up into dermatones, and it's like we're bandaged and there's no overlap between each one. So you can work to a precise area knowing that there is no overlap, and that's why when a surgeon puts or a doctor puts a pin gently in somebody's leg after they've had an accident, they know exactly where the problem starts from in their spine, relating to the nerve, because the nerve goes to a specific area and there's no overlap. It's something he discovered by actually practicing on himself. So Charles Sherrington got the Nobel Prize for realizing that the nerves transmit signals throughout the body and coordinate our body's functions. Something that we think of as just, well, who wouldn't know that? But of course they had to discover it, didn't they? Going on to Joseph Riley, he used ear reflexology, and he was really into zone reflexology as taught by William Fitzgerald, and he introduced Eunice Ingham to reflexology. Eunice went to work, she was a young physiotherapist who went to work for Joseph and his wife Elizabeth, and they were very much into zone therapy, and she was really interested and thought, well, if the feet and hands are where the zone finishes, then why not work on the feet and hands? And so she mapped the feet, and she wrote 2 brilliant books. They're very, very readable, and I would absolutely recommend them to you. Stories Feet Can Tell and Stories Feet Have Told, and they're sold as one book, but they're actually 2 books in one. So she's called the mother of reflexology, and William Fitzgerald discovered zone therapy. Although it is thought that really what he was discovering is what the Chinese and the Indians have known for years, is about the meridians of the body. So we could be working on we are working on the meridians without knowing about it. So this is talking about the newer styles of reflexology, and there are many, many different types of reflexology. We do the thumb compression method, the original thumb compression method, as Eunice Ingham would have used. But there's gentle and there's light touch reflexology, which is very different to our technique. It's not just doing what we do, but lighter. It's quite different. And the light touch, for instance, they work on both feet at the same time, and they're almost not touching. Yeah, so I can't give you much more detail than that, but it is different. but it works. There's precision reflexology, which was introduced by Jan Williamson, and she brought out the linking techniques, which you will be learning and you will be shown during the course. They're amazing techniques because they're linking together, particularly if you're linking the adrenals with an area where there's pain, then you're encouraging the adrenals to give the cortisol and the pain relief to that area. So you will be doing that as soon as you're ready. The metamorphic technique is, you don't have to be a reflexologist to do this one. It's working just on the spine, and it's like hovering over the reflexes, and it's to do with pre-birth work. So it's a bit woo-woo, but it's not something I obviously know an awful lot about. I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying it's not something I know an awful lot about. We can't know everything about everything, can we? Well, this House of Lords report in the year 2000 recommended all practitioners should undertake CPD annually. So what is CPD? And choose one of the professional development activities listed below and explain its meaning and how you would go about it. So you would only have to do one. So practitioner exchange, well, that would be keep in touch with someone after class, and you could give each other a treatment, and when you're finished, you can keep in touch and give each other a treatment that way. You couldn't like do it weekly and get all your CPD points in. It's continual professional development, that's what it means. And each association expects you to do a certain amount of, you don't have to do expensive workshops, but it means that you are working on your profession, really, and not just not doing anything since you graduated. So promotion of reflexology in the community, well, you could do have a little stand at the library. There's all sorts of things you could do that your tutor will talk to you about. I've had a stand at the local supermarket. We have reflexology week every September, the last week of the month, and we've got a banner from the local reflexology group and leaflets to promote reflexology. You might have a stand at the wellbeing event at the school that your children go to. You might publish a case study. Reflections are always looking for new material for the magazine. That's published by the Association of Reflexologists. Informal learning activity, well, that could be reading the book, or you there's, for the FHT, for instance, Beverly and I organise lots of events where you can listen to, say, introduction to counselling skills or all sorts of things, an introduction to ear reflexology that doesn't cost you anything. It could be reading the latest Reflections magazine and learning something. You don't have to prove it. If they may ask you, I've never been asked, but people have been asked, and you fill in a form to say what activities you've been doing. But it's nothing for you to worry about yet. You wouldn't have to do it until you leave, and you'll be going over about CPD later on in the course. This is just to touch on it, but it's not anything for you to worry about. Reflective practice, that might be you've listened to a talk and you've written down some interesting points from a talk that you've gone to. So that would be another CPD point. You could have a point for going to a talk and another CPD point for writing up about it. And you might do some volunteer reflexology work. That could be anywhere, couldn't it? So now we're on to the hand reflexology worksheet, and the information is, you would have found the information either in your Dropbox or on the school student area. But anyway, I'm just going to go over it briefly now, and it's really important to understand this before you come to the class. So how would you position yourself? So you could be sitting face to face with a cushion in between. You could be sitting side by side so that you've got their hand here. You could be at a bedside. You could be standing. I've quite often show people how to do reflexology. I was at an airport showing somebody how to help their back. I was doing it the other day when I'd finished swimming with someone, and she was telling me about her back. We were both dressed, so it wasn't getting cold or anything. And I showed her the reflexes on her hand. So we were just standing up by the side of a car. You wouldn't want to start getting your boots off and everything in the cold weather. I could quickly show her. Then it's so handy. By the side of a couch, so if they were having a treatment, you could sit there. So there's lots of different ways. I've done it sitting in a coach next to somebody. So why might somebody prefer? So a client might be embarrassed about their feet. Maybe they've whatever, you know, it could be the smell, their deformity. They don't like their feet touched. Maybe they've got pain on their feet. I had a client who had rheumatoid arthritis. There is no way on earth I could have done reflexology on her feet. They were so painful. But she came to me. Actually, I was an aromatherapist. I gave her a nice massage and used to do her nails as well. People prefer it. They don't like their feet being raised. They might be short of time and it's a shorter treatment, and they might, it says might prefer, they might, the feet is more intimate and intrusive. Yeah, so it could be that they've got a thing about feet and therefore they think it's too intimate. Not many people feel that, but they can do. And also, of course, you can treat it in a public place. So it's really handy if you're doing demos at Fate or anywhere, because people haven't got to take their shoes and socks off. So why you might prefer to give a foot hand rather than foot, you only need 2 reasons. There's loads of reasons. Time is short. If a client is late for their treatment, say they were really late, half an hour late, so you've only got like just over 20 minutes left, you could do hand reflexology on them. Maybe their feet are too sensitive, maybe there's a foot missing, they're embarrassed, so you say, okay, don't worry, I'll do the hands instead. And if I used to work at an old people's home and I would do their feet, but you couldn't really take their stockings off. So a lot of them have got dementia, and so that wouldn't have been a very good thing to do, but I could do their hand, and some of them were quite happy for you to take their hand, that personal touch. And if it's difficult to access their feet, maybe they've got some sort of special shoes on so you can't get to their feet. Carpal tunnel syndrome, what are all these answers are in the handout that you've got, by the way. So what is carpal tunnel? It's pressure on the median nerve as the hand goes through the carpal tunnel. So we've got reticulum, it's called here, and this band that goes round, and the median nerve goes through it. And if it's pressed on, then people get this tingling and pain in the thumb and these fingers here. So it can be really, really painful. I've had it myself, and I realised it was my position. It was the ergonomics, if you like, the way I'd moved house, and I was using the computer in a way that actually I was putting my hand in a bad position. And as soon as I stopped doing it, I stopped getting woken up with the pain. So if someone has got carpal tunnel, then make sure the way they're actually their lifestyle might be contributing to it. I mean, the guy that's been making some things for us, a carpenter, he has, but that's his job because his overuse. Ways in which the hand differs from the feet. Well, the hand is looser and floppier. You can't sort of get a grip so much with this. The abdominal area is so small, and I mean, that's the diaphragm line. This is the lung area, and then you've got these huge fingers for the, so that's really good for the sinus. But of course it's easier than the feet. Reasons why it might be appropriate to give it instead of a full treatment. It reinforces the work done on the foot, yeah. So you could actually do a bit of both. You could give it to the client for homework, so that you're just showing them how to do maybe the shoulders, because the shoulders is exactly where it would be on the foot. The little, this would be like the little toe. So you might be that, or showing them the spine. So that's the coccyx and coming up, and that's where your neck is here. So that might be the reason. You might want to do a bit on their hand after you've done a foot reflexology treatment, and also the cross reflexes, because you can like do a bit of both, yeah, on the cross reflexes that you heard last time. So for first aid, I've used it for first aid for the back in particular. And when you're doing it on yourself, you don't usually give yourself a full treatment. And for demos, because you wouldn't do a full treatment. So there's lots of problems that can come associated with the hand. We've got Raynaud's disease, which is people feel the cold much more easier. People have osteoporosis, which is the where the bones can easily break. Osteoarthritis, which is the wear and tear. Could have a fungal infection, a ganglion, or a cyst. There could be a callus, carpal tunnel, warts, rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid runs like a rumour through your body, whereas osteoarthritis is usually specific to an area. So overuse with your hands, you could get arthritis, but rheumatoid spreads like a rumour all over your body. It's horrible, invasive, painful. Ways in which a reflexology position could be, yes, so could it be intimidating? People could find it a bit intimidating because you're a lot closer, and you'll find that when you practice on each other in the classroom, because your feet, you're like quite a few feet away, aren't you, from someone, but with the hand you're just over the other side of the couch, so you're into their intimate space, and it's more usual to hold someone's hand, but of course the way you're going to do it, it's going to be much more in a professional way. It's not going to be embarrassing, but you'll see how you feel. And so on the chart below, indicate where the reflexes are, and lo and behold, you've got a chart here, so you can just copy it from there. So you've got the liver, and it shows you the liver on here, so you can just easily copy it over there. And the finger bones are called phalanges, and these are the metacarpals. So that would be where your diaphragm is, and these are the carpals. So can you remember the names of the carpals? You used to have an exam where we had to really ask the students to remember all the names of the carpals. But see if you can remember some of them, and you can look them up. So the relaxation techniques is just like you would do. It's with the wrist. Can you see that? And the metacarpal kneading, the under grip and over grip. You're turning the hand. I can't do my own, but the rib cage relaxation going out, the hand molding even, and the diaphragm relaxation. Yeah. So you can see actually it's just transposing what you know onto the hand, and then wiggle, wiggle, pull, pull. But what you would be doing is holding that joint. Yeah, hold the joint while you do the wiggle, wiggle, pull, pull. You'll also be learning a nice, simple hand massage, and then the sequence, which actually follows just what you've been doing on the feet. And you've got the words and you've got the pictures there. And so don't worry too much, because it's what you've been learning on the feet. Yeah, so you start by going up the lungs and down, and then you go up. You probably go down the fingers, depending. If someone's sitting next to you, you would go up their fingers, but you go down if they're sitting opposite you. So it really is just what you've been doing. I'm not doing this properly. I'm just sort of demonstrating that really it is going that same way. Yeah, so that's it. And lesson 7.